All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Angel McAllister, and I'm the State Director for Financial Aid at the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. And as stated here in the presentation, we're going to briefly go over the National Guard Supplemental Grant and the tuition and fee exemption grants for children of disabled veterans or Purple Heart recipients. If you do have questions, you can enter those into the chat. Caitlin Mahoney is also here with me to assist if needed. But if you have questions there, she can see those and let me know what questions you all have. So, brief overview, we're going to go over the National Guard Supplemental Grant, the CVO programs, and then using Scholar Track and just viewing those awards inside of Scholar Track. But before we get started, earlier this year, when the legislative session ended, HB 1511 was passed, which was the higher education scholarships, grants, and cost exemptions. That was passed, and so now it allows recipients of the National Guard Supplemental Grant and tuition and fee remission programs to use their award at private Indiana colleges and universities. Previously, students were only able to use CVO awards and the National Guard Supplemental Grant at public institutions where both of these grants covered their full tuition. But at private institutions, it will not cover the full tuition, as the email went out in August and a reminder went out at the beginning of September. The total amount for both the National Guard Supplemental Grant and for the CVO programs is $5,000. But again, previously it was only awarded to students who were at public colleges covering their full tuition at those schools. So with this, now students can receive these grants at your institutions. So we'll start briefly with the National Guard Supplemental Grant. For this grant, students must be in active drilling status. They cannot have been AWOL during the prior year. If they are, then they will not be eligible. There isn't anything that you all will have to do in order to verify this. The student will submit the application in Scholar Track, and then the National Guard will review it and then determine the student's eligibility. Again, nothing that you all would necessarily have to do, but this information is good for you to know just in case you have a soldier on your campus and they have questions about their application status. Usually, they're really great with communicating with the National Guard to get the answers, but just so you all have the information, it's here for you to know. Students must be certified by their Guard unit each semester, so the applications are reviewed twice a year. There's one application that is submitted annually, but the students actually go through a review process for the fall and then another review process for the spring. The National Guard Supplemental Grant will cover up to $5,000 of tuition and regularly assessed fees only for the fall and for the spring. So in Scholar Track now, you will see a $2,500 award for the fall, and the spring application has not been reviewed just yet. So you will not see that amount until that application is reviewed and their status has been verified. In order to be eligible, students must be degree seeking. So they can be seeking their associate's degree, their first bachelor's degree, or a master's degree. And they have to be meeting SAT. Students can receive the grant for part-time or full-time enrollment. National Guard students must use FTA, which is Federal Tuition Assistance, before receiving their National Guard Supplemental Grant. And any student who has not applied for FTA will receive a denied National Guard Supplemental Grant application. Students can see these statuses in Scholar Track. They'll get a notification about their status in Scholar Track. And then at that point, there are additional steps that they can take to verify applying for FTA or going back and applying for FTA, and their application status can change. Again, that decision is based upon the National Guard. However, a student is made aware if their application is denied or approved and why. Any National Guard supplemental grant recipient student who is also EFC eligible for the Franco Bannon grant will be able to receive the Franco Bannon grant instead of the National Guard supplemental grant because the award amount is higher. Again, the student must be full time, so they still have to be meeting all Franco Bannon grant requirements in order to receive the Franco Bannon grant over the National Guard. In code, it isn't currently coded for students to be able to receive both. That can change In the future, we'd have to amend the code, but as of now, it's one or the other. And so we just kind of made it a policy or our exception that if a student is able to receive a higher award, we're going to do that. You will have to notify our office if you have a student who is EFC eligible for EFC eligible, but then also submit the FAFSA on time, credit completion, all the good stuff in order to be eligible for Franco-Bannon. So if you have a student on your campus who has an approved National Guard supplemental grant, but you also see that they're eligible for Franco-Bannon, just notify us and we'll make sure that we make that switch so the student can receive the higher award. Um, One caveat with the National Guard Supplemental Grant is that it is offered beyond the 400 eligibility units. So students are able to receive like 600 units or 12 semesters of National Guard Supplemental Grant. So you'll see it now in ScholarTrack where 400 units is the max. If a student is earning their master's degree, or maybe it's taken them longer than 4 years to earn their bachelor's degree, you will see a claim for 450 over 400 eligibility units because with National Guard, students are able to receive the additional um, 2 years or the additional 4 semesters of the National Guard supplemental grant only. Now, if the student has used 4 years of the Franco-Bannon grant, and then they also have the National Guard supplemental grant, yes, they can still receive the National Guard supplemental grant beyond those 400 units, and it's only for National Guard. ScholarTrack will not create an award for any other, well, for Franco-Bannon or for ASG 21st beyond the 400 eligibility units. It'll be for National Guard and it'll be for CVO, but we'll see that later. All right, so moving forward into the children of disabled veterans or Purple Heart recipients. So for these students, they have to be children of disabled veterans or they have to be children of Purple Heart recipients. They have to file a FAFSA each year and submit their application in ScholarTrack. Their application is reviewed by the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. And with their application, these students must provide their birth certificate, the veterans DD 214 form, and their disability paperwork. Again, all of this is submitted through ScholarTrack, and then it goes over to IDVA for them to review and verify the student's eligibility. It covers up to $5,000 of tuition and regularly assessed fees as well. With this one, the full amount can be claimed at once, or it can be broken up between multiple terms. Completely up to you guys, and completely up to the student. But again, this can be broken up across multiple terms or claimed all at once. Students must be degree seeking, and they must be meeting SAT. Prior, um, students were able to just use CVO awards and not be degree seeking. They didn't have to meet SAP, but that was changed in law. So students have to be degree seeking and meeting SAP in order to receive CVO. Eligible students must have graduated high school January 1st, 2023 or later. If you have students and you're like, well, how come this student isn't eligible for this CVO award? 9 times out of 10, they may have graduated prior to 2023. However, if you have a student who did graduate this year, they should have eligibility. If not, then let us know. We can take a look at that. But for all students who did graduate 2023 and beyond and have an approved application in ScholarTrack, they will have a ready to claim award. Any student who graduated before, like I said, they're not eligible at private, nonprofit colleges or university. At public schools, they are. However, private colleges, they are not. These specific students are awarded 124 credit hours of this grant. And so once the credit hours are exhausted, they're no longer eligible for their CVO award. So just like National Guard, these students could have exhausted all 400 eligibility units of like Franco-Bannon Adult Student Grant, 21st Century Scholarship, Next Generation, all of the awards that we have. The student can have exhausted all 4 years or 400 eligibility units of their state financial aid, but still receive CVO because it's based on a credit hour system as opposed to deducting their eligibility based on terms and semesters. Franco-Bannon eligible students must have a claim against their Franco-Bannon grant first, then a claim with a dollar amount in total credit hours on their CVO award afterwards. Again, in order for them to receive the Franco-Bannon grant, they must be meeting all Franco-Bannon grant requirements, submitting their FAFSA on time, must have met credit completion, must be EFC eligible, and must be in the correct enrollment status in order to receive the OBANN. And then the order of aid, those rules still apply. They still apply the same. There's been some questions about that. So I wanted to make sure that I made a point um, that the order of aid application will still work the same. Although you're implementing two new grants, you will still do it the same way that you've been, like the same order that you've been processing your other financial aid. And I have the chart here later for us to review. Do you have any questions so far just about the programs before moving into using Scholar Track? Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, Caitlin. Okay, so again, with the order of aid application, you will apply the private and institutional aid designated for tuition and fee first. Then afterwards, we have our 21st, our Franco Bennett, our annual awards, 21st Franco Bennett Adult Student Grant, and then you'll see National Guard Supplemental Grant. The National Guard Extension Grant does not apply to our private colleges, so that one doesn't matter. However, you'll see the National Guard there have to be applied after your private and institutional aid has been applied. And then the third bucket, the remission fee programs, that's for our CVO programs that will be applied afterwards. So again, those students who are eligible for 21st Franco Bannon at your private colleges, you want to make sure that you insert those claims first, and then following up with the claims for CVO. Okay. So this is how the awards will look for CVO in Scholar Track. You'll see the title of the award here, just like all the other awards. But I wanted to make sure that I made a point of this section down here. So all of your students should currently have 124 hours remaining unless you've already inserted claims. Again, these students must have just graduated 2023 and beyond. So they should have their full 124 credit hours remaining. When you go to insert your claim, you'll make sure that you'll select the correct school year, the term, the amount. Again, if they want to use the full $5,000, they can do that. And then the total amount of credit hours. Although this $5,000 may not cover 12 credit hours, you want to insert the total number of credit hours that the student is enrolled in. Even if you're inserting a claim for Franco Bannon and 21st for the student, you still need to enter in the amount of hours that the student is enrolled so that it can correctly be deducted from their total hours remaining. If the student has attended a different institution within the same academic year, or if they somehow have a consortium agreement between your school and another school and they're also using CVO, you will see those hours deducted under your institution if they're there, and then under the other institution if they're receiving hours somewhere else, the same with the claim amount as well. For the National Guard supplemental grant, again, you'll see the $2,500 here for the fall, and you'll see the term expiration, the award start date and the award expiration date. Claims for the fall, same as the other awards, it can be inserted after the date. It will go under the expiration date. It will go on hold. We review those the same as we review all other awards that go on hold, and then we can approve those, and you'll see that change. But the claim can only, whenever you insert it, it can only be inserted for the fall. So a student can say, well, can I have my fall claim inserted for the spring with the other $2,500 because I need more there? The award can only be claimed for the term that it's awarded for. So for the fall, and then one for the spring. You'll see here the spring application status is pending until it is reviewed by the Indiana National Guard. Same here, just like the school year, You'll see the term that you need to insert it in for. For this student, it's the fall. The amount, is the student full-time? Yes or no, depending on the student status. And then it's pretty much done. The same thing that's done here on the student's account in ScholarTrack, same information that will be inserted on the claim files. The term, the term, the amount, the student's enrollment status, the school year, the school code, and the same for CVO. You want to make sure that it's the correct school year, the term, the amount, and the hours. It will ask you how many hours need to be claimed, and you will put in that amount of hours. And that's short and sweet. But if you guys have questions, by all means, please ask those. The webinar is recorded, so we'll make sure that we post it on the website and we can send it out. So the way everyone who was unable to attend will be able to review it as well. You can share it with your staff at your campuses if they have additional questions. We did have, looks like we still do, have some folks on from the National Guard and from IDVA. If anyone from the colleges has questions for our two partnering agencies, you can also ask those questions in the chat as well. We'll give it a couple minutes. All right, looks like there are no questions in the chat. So we're going to go, sorry, it's okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end the webinar. I have Caitlin stop the recording, but we'll hang on into the chat for a little while longer just in case folks do want to stay and ask questions offline. And there's a number there for IDVA if someone wants to contact them directly. Thanks, Tim.
Hey, Angel, are you still on? This is Tim with IDVA.
That's just one of the requirements.
This is nothing to do with this particular subject, but as long as I got you
All
on
right,
here.
sir.
The Scholar Track application, when we view it, we can no longer see the icons for the applications we have on hold or the ones that are denied. We used to be able to mouse over them and see the internal comments. We haven't been
Okay.
able to do that since mostly the beginning of the school year. Is there
Okay.
something going on with the website?
Let me check and see. This is the first time we've been told. Are you logged in now?
Yeah, let me move over. Maybe I can share my screen with you and show you what we're talking about.
Let's see. I was gonna say, if not, you can just send me a screenshot and then just send it to me. We may need to
Yeah, let me share the screen here. I don't think I'm showing any, no, I'm not
okay.
showing any PPI on this, so.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see.
So when we go here to
Mm-hmm.
our on hold applications, see how none of this is showing up?
Oh, okay.
And it's the same with our denied applications. None of those are showing up.
Huh. Okay. Click on pending for me.
Pending? Well, we
Okay.
don't have anything
Nothing's
pending in
pending.
there
Okay,
right
then
now.
so then click on the approved
So our
and it may
alls
show
will show
information. Okay.
approved, but it's
Okay.
the denied and the on holds that aren't showing this
The
text where we
status
can
of what
mouse
it is.
over it and see why they
Okay.
were on hold.
I got you. Okay, yeah, let us look into that. And we'll see. And then yeah, you can stop sharing.
You said it was at the beginning of the year, so like the beginning of fall
Yeah, it was
that this
just
happened?
it's just for this award year, I think it started happening.
Okay.
We just, obviously there wasn't anything in there at the beginning, and as they started populating in there and we started putting stuff on hold, we started noticing it. And then we were getting a few updates pushed, and I was thinking, okay, maybe it's something to do with the computer, I don't know. And then we
Okay.
just were dealing with it.
Okay. It might also have something to do with the update we did in Scholar Track to the award itself. So we'll have our IT vendor look at that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and end. We're going to leave, and then we'll make sure we get the presentation sent out to everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Angel.